Okay, for our demo, we have a hosted version of Jira Studio. This includes Bamboo for builds, Subversion for source control, Confluence for documentation and wiki, and Jira for issues. We're going to concentrate today on the builds and how we integrate our tests. So here we've configured an Amazon EC2 instance, which we can see here. Now this is configured, and I've taken the liberty of starting it up. At the moment there's an Elastic Agent which is going to be running on it, but it's idle because there's no builds running. The configuration for all of this is via your AWS account. You can see you won't be able to see my secret key, so I'm safe. We can have as many instances as we need configured, and when we start up an instance we can choose how many we actually want to start up at any point, so we can run multiple builds at the same time. Now once we've got the kind of administration instance set up, we can then set up the build on a project level. So here I've created a project called Demo, and I've also created a build. So the build, it's called Demo. We're pointing to a demo trunk on Subversion. The builder is going to run build XML from our project. It's going to use Java, and it's basically an Ant script. The only requirements are that it runs Ant and it needs a JDK. Our Amazon instance has all of that. Artifacts, for the purposes of this demo, we're not worried about that. Notification, so this is who's going to be sent a notification of the build success or failure. Post actions, again, we're not worried about that. Dependencies, there's no dependencies. Our build's very simple. The actual build itself is going to run on Salesforce. Permissions, so who can edit the build, who can view the build, who can view reports on the build, all of that kind of thing. At the moment it's just set up for me. We can also get a summary of our build history over time. So for this demo you can see there have been quite a few failures. There's been quite a few times that they've been fixed. It's only 2 classes. This graph here shows, it gives us a visual representation of the build history over time. Okay, so on with the demo. So I have here in Eclipse a demo project which consists of just 2 classes. You'll also notice that the build itself is part of the Eclipse Force.com project. Underneath lib is a Salesforce jar. This contains the necessary libraries so that we can run the appropriate Ant targets against Salesforce itself. There's a build XML file. That's a file that our build actually uses and it triggers the target called run test, which will run the tests against Salesforce and deploy the code if the tests actually pass. We have a file called force.properties, call it whatever you like. This contains the actual information to connect to my Salesforce instance. Okay, so here we have a demo class which essentially returns a string. We can see at this point this string is that, the test, the string is that without the dash, so it's going to fail. But let's ensure it's going to fail, so we'll just add some more dots in. So this assertion is never going to be true, so we expect to see test failures. So I'm now going to commit this code into. Now what would usually happen is that this will be tested against your local version of Salesforce, but for the purposes of this demo I'm simply going to commit it straight into Subversion, like so. Now at this point Bamboo will pick it up, but we're just going to speed things along a little bit. So I'm going to say plan actions, and I'm going to run the build. And you'll see the build start running now. Very quick. So this is actually sending order data over to the Amazon EC2 instance, which runs a build against Salesforce. And there we go. Build 22 has failed. So I should now have an email in my mailbox telling me why it failed. There we go. And it failed because of the assertion error. So let's go back and let's change that and ensure that it's going to work. So we want that. Paste that in. Check it in. Okay, now go back and we'll trigger our build again. Running the build. Completed successfully. Now I should have another email telling me that my build is successful. Yes. Okay. And that, in a nutshell, is continuous integration on Force.com. Now I'm happy to provide any extra information. I'm going to be getting some more videos out which are going to cover the build scripts in more detail. Any extra detail you want, please feel free to email me and I'll answer any questions. Thank you.